Good evening. My educational thinker is Mary McLeod Bethune, 1875 to 1955. Educator, motivator, activist, enter to learn, depart to serve. Some of Dr. Bethune's educational ideas include: 1. To teach the African American female ways to better their homes as well as their lives for the future by helping them to move beyond the oppression and the degrading conditions of the servitude towards a more spiritual, economic, and educational liberty. She also felt that liberal arts should be the cornerstone for all college curriculums, and that education should equip the individual with brain tools and an attitude of protest that would change the environment for one that was more worthy. And third, dreams of developing an institution of higher learning that could produce scientists, lawyers, physicians, architects, engineers. She just always had a desire for people to learn beyond where they were. Now, a couple of her educational impacts included: she demonstrated her whole person philosophy of Christian education when she opened one of the first schools for African American girls in 1904. She also fought for and devoted her life to ensuring the right to education and freedom from discrimination for black Americans and the rights of women. And third, she was an educator who opposed segregation and inequality facing blacks by opening a high school to ignite a passion for education, religion, and social advancement amongst the population, the black population in particular. Now, I did not find any negative criticisms against Dr. Bethune. There may have been some out there, but I was unable to find some. But I will say my personal, which would actually be a positive critique, is to really, she is someone that you should aspire to be because she worked tirelessly. She did not let anything keep her from achieving her goals. She was a determined woman, and even though doors may close was closed in her face, she did not hesitate to go and open another door. And so I think that would be, what I have to say on her in a positive note. Just a little bit of biographical information about Dr. Bethune. She was the 15th of 17 children born to former slave parents in Maysville, South Carolina. Now, she devoted her life to ensure the right of education and freedom to black Americans. And she was the first person in her family actually to learn how to read and write. And what she learned at school, she brought back home and she taught her family, her siblings, and her parents how to read and write as well. Now, when she was 20 years old, she dedicated her life to becoming a teacher and to educate young children. In 1904, again, she opened the first African American school for girls called the Daytona Educational and Industrial Training School with just 5 students. That school is still in existence today, and it is called, it's known as Bethune Cookman University, and is one of the historically black colleges and universities. Now, on May 18th, 1955, Dr. Bethune passed away, but she left a legacy behind of interracial cooperation and increased educational opportunities for blacks. In 1985, she was honored with a postage stamp bearing her image, as well as a statue at one of the parks in Washington, D.C. And all of this was as a tribute to her immense influences and her invaluable contributions that she left to America's social and educational developments. Dr. Bethune was an educator. She was a motivator. She was an activist. She was a woman really ahead of her times. She did not let the color of her skin or the lack of resources deter her or stop her from what she felt her mission from God was, and that was to spread education. And one of her quotes stated that from the first I made my learning, what little it was, useful everywhere I could, as an inspiration that nothing is impossible. And sometimes when we think it's impossible, but all things are possible through Christ, and that's the way what Dr. Bethune felt. She knew that with her hard work, her determination, her desire, her love of God, and her faith in God, that He would make a way out of no way. Dr. Bethune, she went on not only to be an educator, but she was also a politician. But education was always at the forefront of her that was always the core of who she was. She did not let anything stop her or deter her. It says that she believed that one of the best ways to help the African American community was through education. And with the inspiration of Dr. Lucy Laney, again, she worked tirelessly to uphold the institution that she founded. And one of her main goals was to teach African American females ways to strengthen the African American families to better their homes for their future. And so I'm going to leave this with you. And this is a quote from her last will and testament, and it says, "I leave a thirst of education. Knowledge is the prime need of the hour. If I have a legacy to leave my people, it is my philosophy of living and serving." Again, Mary McLeod Bethune, activist, motivator, educator. Mary McLeod Bethune.